Hello, my name is Alexander Ermenkov. I'm a ruling reality coach, and I would like to present to you my new program, which is called Beyond Success Reality for Generational Wealth. It is a program that I have been creating because I'm really passionate about wealth creation. I'm passionate about going deep into the reality and understanding everything as it is, but also I'm passionate about wealth creation, and it is okay to be deep, to be spiritual, to be elevated, to be whatever you want to be, and in addition, to be someone that is able to create wealth, that is able to create something that is in excess and that is more than he needs. And then with this excess and with everything that is above what he consumes, to be able to start sharing this value with the other creatures and beings, and to actually long term being able to create a much better environment for all of us. So the Beyond Success Reality program, it is a 30-day program that I have created, and this is a small glimpse of day one, week one of Beyond Success Reality program. And in this program, we are actually understanding the 4 quadrants of reality, how to interact, how they interact with each other, what is reality and why it is dissected this way, to understand that we are influencing reality, 4 quadrants, and who are we and why are we influencing them, and then to learn that the 4th quadrant, which is the wealth creation quadrant, is actually validating who we are in this moment. It doesn't matter from where your wealth creation process is starting. It can always continue to grow, because in the last 5 minutes, I'm going to explain why we are a multiplying creatures. Is there something inside of us that is making us to multiply everything, or is the reality made in such a way that it is something that is becoming easy for us? So let's deep dive into the questions of reality. It is very important, and for me this is a big challenge now, to be able in less than 3 minutes to explain you what is reality and why actually reality is created the way it is. In the Wikipedia, reality is described as the state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to an idealistic or notional idea of them. This is a very big problem, especially in the way we are living today, because we are very strongly forced to stay only in our mind. We think that only the things which are in our mind is what is outside. We are willing to ignore reality as it is. We are willing to stay into our disillusionments, and we don't want long term to be connected with reality. That's why I'm not into the personal development industry, where they're working strongly only with your mindset, only with your brain, only with your thinking, because reality is much more than only a mental effort and experience. That's why I'm a ruling reality coach, because I'm really interested in the interaction of everything. We are interconnected beings. We are much more than a spiritual being. We are much more than what we call a soul. we are much more than a brain, we are much more than a body, and so on and so on. But let's move back to what actually is reality. So if reality is the state of things as they actually exist, opposed to what we think that is out there, then better learn the language of reality and better deep dive into exploring what is out there. The language is the transmitting of information between our brains and what is inside of us, our internal part, and the reality as it actually exists. Yes, but Alex, it's very easy. We see what is out there. It is so easy. But the problem with reality is that it is much more than what we see. And actually, through the language, we are decoding these labels and we are creating images inside of us. And we think that we understand and we know reality. But actually, through our interaction with reality, we are able to more deep dive because it is reality is 100% holographic. There are so many layers into the reality. That's why the same person, me and you, can look at the same, let's say, economical thing that is happening right now in the world, and I can say, wow, this is so good that inflation is soaring. And you say, no, Alex, it is so bad that there is so much inflation. Now I'm paying so much more and my money are less. But because of the context and the understanding of reality, and here I'm strongly willing to move forward into the beyond success thinking, you need to understand the context. Well, my context about inflation is that because I have debt and I have taken it only in 2% interest rate, for me an inflation of 10-15% is okay, because only last year I was able to accumulate an additional €500,000 of capital gain only because of 3 lands that I was able to acquire through debt at 2%. They increased 100% in the last year. And the beautiful thing when you are working long-term with debt, if you understand how to do it, of course, is that you are able to have the capital gain only for yourself. This is a small understanding of how reality is not the same for everybody and how I'm seeing the same reality, but from different, deeper perspective than maybe you are. More of the humanity seeing only the surface. Through the 5 streams, they're seeing only the visual effects. But as you can see in the 3rd slide, beyond things, you need to understand what is beyond things. That's why I created this program. It is called Beyond Success. You need to understand what are the processes that are creating success. This is what this program is all about. Behind every effect, there is a process. The problem with reality, I know a lot of you know, yes, I can understand. You are now speaking to me about the causality, the cause and effect. But do you know what is the big problem with reality? That one effect is dependent upon more than 1,000 causes. Well, Alex, then which exact cause do you want me to interact with in order to create a specific effect? It is not lurking like this. So you need long-term to deep dive into the processes, because reality is interacting with us not through the things, but to the processes that are beyond things. And in the past, the human beings have understood so deeply this part that they have labeled a lot of the processes as gods. We had the god of fertility. We had the god of war. We had the god of love. We have the god of whatever you can imagine. Then some of us decided, well, actually, there is only one being, a creator, that is behind all of this. If this is true or not, it can be and it will be debatable for a long, long time, because nobody has ever seen the creator, and it is impossible, the creation, to see the creator. We always only see the expressions of what maybe is behind the scene. I know a lot of us think that we are the creators, and in a sense, we are in a co-creating and we are co-generating because of our interaction with reality. But actually, there is so much more. And when you are moving into reality, after you understand that there is a reality and it is different than what's in your head and in what you have heard from everybody, once you understand how to interact with reality and what is its language, and to see the processes, because in the deep understanding and meaning of language, the one question you need to answer yourself, because you are anyhow an observing being, you need to answer the question of what do you see? What layer of reality exactly do you see in the moment? This is what is going to create this communication and interaction between you and reality in the moment. That's why don't be angry, don't be mad at reality. It is always balanced with who you are in the moment. If in the moment you are a being that is able to generate $1,000 or $10,000 maximum, don't be angry at my reality that is able in the moment to generate 1 million, $2 million, and so on. I'm looking at the same reality from deeper layers, and this is what I'm willing and trying to interact and to explain to you here. So, Alex, we understood there is a reality, we need to interact with it. Tell us now what to do. The problem is that we, the human beings, are not supposed to do, not supposed to perform, not supposed to try move forward in reality and bend it into what we think that reality should be. The only thing we are to do is to align with all as it is. This is the fundamental positioning from where we start. Well, Alex, I thought that you are going to tell me immediately how to make the 1 million. No, first you need to understand why in the moment you are in the $10,000. Then to understand which are the processes behind your reality. After this, to understand how to subdue, how to manage, how to interact with all these processes, how to have dominion and rulership on the interaction between you and your reality, because your reality is created specifically for you, and long term you can influence, change the probabilities, and so on. And long term you will understand that through you influencing and impacting, but not the effects, but in your interaction with the processes, you are actually able to enrich our common objective reality. And now let's move to dissecting of the 4 quadrants. The 4 quadrants of reality are based on the internal and the external. Everything that is within us is the internal part of us. Everything that is outside of us is the so-called external reality. Well, Alex, the problem is that what you are telling me about internal, it is esoteric, it is spiritual, it is something that I don't see, I cannot touch, I cannot feel. So, are you sure it actually exists? It's up to you to decide this, but for the purpose of my teaching, I want you to consider all of this, because anyhow, you have awareness, you have perception, you have consciousness, you have subconsciousness, you have dreams, you have visualizations, you have memory of experiences, you have pattern recognitions, you have predictability, you have projections, you have intent, you have your attentions, you have your focus, you have your identity in the moment, you have your desire, passions, urges, and will. It doesn't matter that nobody sees them. Because of them, you are expressing yourself in the outer external quadrant 2 and quadrant 4. In quadrant 2 is the expression of your inner being through the body. Here you feel the energy vibrations, all the feeling energy emotions. You understand now my rhetorics and the sounds that I'm creating through the body. But the meanings behind the labels is something that is part of the quadrant number 3, the collective internal, because if you don't understand the word success, and images are not coming back into your head about cars, houses, gold, cash, money, excess, lavish life. Yes, but Alex, you know that this is not success. It is very artificial. It is very superficial. It is something I want to have success without all these things. Is it possible, Alex? Well, what about having all of this and still be humble, still be spiritual, still be you, and all of these things to actually don't own, but you long term to learn that you are owning and actually are only steward of everything that you are expressing in quadrant number 4. So we can deep dive strongly into this, but also I was willing to tell you that anyhow, in all these 4 quadrants of reality, there are also conflicts you need to understand and to grasp, because when you go into the wealth creation process, anyhow, you are going to discover that there are conflicts. Basically, the conflict within us happens because of the left and right hemisphere of the brain. The left part of our brain is working with the content. Alex, tell me how to go into the content. This is the more important thing for me. But then your right hemisphere is telling you, well, what about the context? What if I have all of these things? Am I going to be happy? How is going to be the balance of my life? And so on and so on. So you have the left hemisphere and you have the right hemisphere. You have the details. The left part of you is taking care of the details, and the right part of you is taking care of the totality. The left part of you is taking and working about the impact, and the right part of you is working about the bigger purpose. The left part of you is the logic, the right part of you is the intuition. That's why I was telling you that actually none of this quadrant actually matters if you are not able to be aligned and to interact with all these 4 quadrants of reality simultaneously. Then in the body, we have the automations. We are calling sometimes behaviors against what you are trying to rule through the body. We have the body limitations, but Alex, I'm just a body. No, according to me, all of us, because of what is inside of us and what we are creating in our inner world and reality, though we cannot see it, we are actually limitless beings inside of us. Of course, we have the body and the reality limitations, but long term, we are able to express more and more into the reality. And that's why there are a lot of human beings that are more rich, other human beings that are poor, and there are a lot of human beings that are very strongly interacting into quadrant number 3. Other beings, quadrant 4 is very strongly interacting with who they are. Other beings are very strong in quadrant number 1, and they're so deep and so meaningful that when you are around such a person, there is so much presence there that you even don't want to speak. You just want to enjoy the moment. So there are conflicts in quadrant number 3 where all of us are trying to fight for which is the truth, what is the difference between the subjective and objective truth. Alex, the common good is more important than my individual authenticity, my individual success. Is it more important actually the values that are benefiting all versus the desires that are benefiting me? There is so much shadow inside of me that I want to suppress, but also there is so much value inside of you that you are willing to express. This is also a big conflict. And also the quadrant number 4, because we are in the beyond success reality, and let's go back to the basics of the quadrant number 4, the external reality. Here we have the conflict between us, the human beings interaction we call the civilization, and the nature. Alex, if we continue with this success, with this wealth creation, we are going to exploit actually the universe and the reality, and we are going to destroy long-term ourselves. So there is a big conflict there, and you can put then a lot of details. Global warming against human activities and so on and so on. So it's very important when you go into wealth creation to understand that there is going to be this conflict, and you need to learn how strongly to impact your reality so that you are always in alignment and your inner being to not stay in conflicts, that you are rich, that you are creating something but somebody else don't have. I want to share everything that I have with all the individuals around the world. Yes, long term you can create big value and impact with what you are creating in quadrant number 4, and that's why more and more you have as an excess long term can create a big and more powerful being that is actually giving being, and that is actually more and more selfless, because it's very easy to be selfless when we don't have the enough possibilities to go into benefiting our self desires. So we need to understand in quadrant number 4 that we are beings under order, to understand that there are universal reality laws against the human exploitation, and so on and so on. And when we deep dive into how we are creating wealth creation that is lasting from generation to generation, we are going to deep dive also into these conflicts. But now let's move strongly into the 10x mindset and everything that is happening in our mental environment inside of our brain. We are able to imagine everything. We are able to dream about everything. We are able to wish about everything, and everything is possible within our mind. But it is not enough just to stay in your mental, just to stay in your mindset. I'm really furious, angry, and long term, it is a big part of my deep commitment and passion to help and be an example and inspiration for human beings that are willing their limitless insight, probability, and capacity to be able to more and more express it in the outside reality. What do we see? Are we seeing the limitations of the outer reality, or are we seeing the probabilities that exist for all of us? So the outer reality is multiplying by doubling of everything, and this is how we are created. Yes, there are limits to a lot of things, but there are processes when doubling is working, and in the wealth creation, especially when you are not yet a billionaire or a decabillionaire or the richest man on the planet, there is so much 2x and doubling and multiplication that is available for you. I know a lot of 10x mindset is now promoted, but the problem with the 10x mindset is that you need to also understand that there is a step by step daily reality. And the most interesting thing about reality and about multiplication is that actually we're just playing a very small part in this reality of multiplication because it's already created for us. Just imagine that we are growing a seed, and the process of growth is making this small seed to become a big tree, to give fruits all the time. And this tree is becoming an asset from which we as human beings are able to sustain ourselves. So are we the multiplication beings? Yes, because we have the ability to grasp the processes that exist and to learn to use them. There are multiplication processes that are there for the rich and for the poor. The problem is in what do you see? The poor sees only the limitation. The rich sees the possibility. And in the Beyond Success program, I'm willing to strongly work with all of you that are willing to long-term express themselves into the quadrant number 4 of reality and to dare to express and to enjoy the excess, and then long-term to learn how to create value out of it. So it is a very small part of the deepening process that we are going to go through into the Beyond Success reality program. And this is very small part because it is very important to understand that the interaction and the balance between your health, your body, your inner world, your outer expressions, your understanding a quadrant 3 when you watch the news, when you see why people are fighting. We are for more salaries, we are for less inflation, we are for more this, for less of this, we want more order, we want less order, we want more regulation, we want less regulation. The important thing is to learn the processes, and that from your inner being out, you are able to be a wealth creation being, not just to work with your mind and go into a wall of attraction and just trying to attract. It's not enough. You need to learn your mind, your heart, your gut, and the thing you care about. These 4 things to be in alignment in order to move forward into the real process of generating reality, as I call it. Some people are calling it manifestation. Some people can call it interaction with the processes that already exist. But still, it is much more than just retranslating, just following, just existing. So, thank you for watching this small Beyond Success reality session that we are deep diving into day one into the program. And enjoy life and be open for the Beyond Success reality. It is for all of us. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.